Run, river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run over me.
Hi, this is Jan Lewis. Welcome to be my guest. Today we have Jody Antonucci, her husband Stephen Antonucci, and their son Michael Antonucci. And they have quite a story. I believe it was in one of the Worcester papers, probably Worcester magazine.
Yes.
I found this article, and it was about the brave challenge that Judy and her husband Stephen had, and Michael as well, with the autism situation, which a lot of us are dealing with. I have a little grandson who was diagnosed with high functioning, and they caught him at 2 or 3 years old, and he's doing very well. But it's a challenge, and I want to welcome you all. And Michael, you look just like your picture in the newspaper. Michael, what's the name of your dog?
Georgie girl.
Georgie girl. What is she, a terrier? What is she?
She's a rat terrier.
A rat terrier. Well, how old is she?
She's old. She just turned 11 a few weeks ago.
And she's your baby. Oh, Mommy, Daddy, who wants to begin this story of what happened?
Okay, Michael does have autism, and he was diagnosed with autism around 4 years old by Children's Hospital in Boston, and he also, we had a second opinion because we couldn't get into Children's Hospital,
Right.
and we went to a psychologist in Northborough that diagnosed Michael also. When Michael was around 18 months to 36 months, I started to see some behaviors that were very different to me. Michael would flap, he would be on his tiptoes, he would be like an Energizer bunny. When we spoke to him, he would not always look at us or respond, and I knew Michael could hear because Michael would hear things when we were talking very quietly.
Yeah.
So that's what brought me to bring Michael to the diagnosis. I went to Michael's pediatrician, and he's seen at Harding Pediatrics.
Did you ever go to UMass? That's where we had brought my son at one time. They're a very good children's neurology center there.
No.
You didn't try me? Okay.
I did go to UMass to a neurologist when Michael was 7, but I didn't go for the diagnosis.
Right.
So what had happened is Michael had 2 confirmed diagnoses of high-functioning autism, and being a teacher for the Worcester Public Schools, I teach first grade. Before Michael turned 4, he was in preschool with Quinsigamond Community College, and then Michael went on to the Worcester Public Schools. And being the teacher that I am, I made sure that I had all my reports, everything, and I put in an IEP.
Exactly. Those so important. And it's not easy to get, is it? Not for all kids.
No, I put in an individualized plan, and I also hired an advocate because I have a great relationship with the Worcester Public Schools, and I wanted to continue that, but I also wanted to get Michael the services that he deserved. So Michael went into a regular kindergarten, and he had a one-on-one for many years, and then he graduated from Gates Lane in 6th grade, and he went on to middle school. And when he went on to middle school, he went into the COAST program, which was 7 and 8.
Now, what's that? Host? What's
Yes.
that?
It's a program for kids who are on the spectrum.
Okay.
And Michael did not get integrated into classes yet. When he was in through kindergarten through 6th grade, he was in regular classes. He wasn't in a special classroom. But this helped to prepare Michael to get individual attention, to work on individual subjects. So when Michael graduated from middle school and went into 9th grade, they slowly integrated Michael.
Michael, how did you like the COAST program? Did you like it?
Well, the first 4 years, yes.
Yeah.
Well, the first 3 years, yes. Not the last year, and I got sick, but I don't really want to talk about it.
No. So those, you get okay, and then you hit a spot, right, where
Yes.
things didn't go okay. How would happen?
Right. What had happened is in October, and they say you remember the date, October 2015, Michael started his anxiety. Michael always had anxiety, and he always had some OCD, but it really started to be a rise and increase, and it started to get out of control. And he started blurting out the F word.
Sure.
And they call them F-bombs. And what happened at first, we just thought, oh, he's testing. He's in high school.
Yeah,
He's hearing other children speak
Yeah.
and get that language. So we, would tell Michael it was not appropriate, and he's very respectful. He would say, "I'm sorry,"
Yeah.
and then it started to continue and continue. And this was
No vacation at all, didn't help at all, or do?
no, Michael was on, at the time, he was just on Zoloft, and we started to feel, my husband and I, that the Zoloft was not.
So you did
working.
feel, Stephen, you felt too, both of you felt that the Zoloft, that didn't work too well.
It didn't seem to be helping with the anxiety.
Okay, that's an
But it was-
antidepressant, I know, but yeah.
It is.
It did help Michael, because Michael was on Prozac and Zoloft for his anxiety and OCD since he was 7. So it was when 2 years, so when Michael was in 10th grade, my husband and I and Michael were feeling that the Prozac was not working. So we went back to the psychologist that referred us to a psychiatrist that specialized in autism, and we started to put Michael on Zoloft, and that started to work for 4 months. Then came October of 2015, and we started to see this sudden onset,
Yeah.
acute onset of OCD.
Do you remember that, Michael?
Mm-hmm.
It must not have been pleasant, right? No.
I'm scared.
Yeah, I would be too. Suddenly you feel this change and you're like, what do I do, right?
So what had happened, this was the year Michael was graduating, we were advocating for services for Michael with the Worcester Public Schools. So when we went to the psychiatrist and the psychologist, they all felt it was just anxiety risen from school, and it was situational. And we started to, we agreed with that, not knowing anything. And then come December, January, and February, Michael's OCD and anxiety started to rise significantly, where he was yelling, I'm going back to sophomore year.
Yeah,
And then he would start blurting the F-bombs.
sure.
And then it got to the point where Michael was just not doing well at all. And it started to increase more, and he started to deteriorate more, where he was crawling around our living room floor.
Mm-hmm.
He was flapping, he was banging his head, he was yelling and screaming in the
There
mirror.
was a large digression in his behavior.
Yeah,
I mean, he was progressing nicely all through junior high,
yeah.
into high school, and then, the junior year, this October, happened, and he didn't know what was going on.
It's a whole new world almost. It was a whole new thing,
Yeah.
right? Whole new thing.
And as the article said, and as you read, Michael was prescribed tons of
Oh,
psychiatric
yeah.
medications. And none of those medications had helped Michael.
Did they any of them deter? Did they any of them make it worse? Do you think they
Yes.
did? Yeah, that's-
Definitely. I
It
feel
created
like,
mania.
yes.
Many of them did.
Michael, it must not have been fun for you with all those pills. No.
Michael is a very active
Well, I didn't
kid.
realize anything was wrong. I didn't get it until the end of March, beginning of April, that something was really getting bad.
Sure, you mean it really feel it.
And what had happened is, right then and there, when the medication wasn't working, it was making his symptoms worse. He was in bed all the time. He was sleeping. He was not the same kid. He changed right in front of our eyes. And we kept going to the professionals that we worked with, and they kept saying it had to do with him graduating. It had to do with situational.
It was senioritis is the.
Senioritis, yeah.
That was called.
Yeah, they said we had an evaluation done on him at the McPap Center, and the woman we dealt with was wonderful, but she got Michael in the middle of this. And what happened is she said, I don't really think, I think all it is autism. And that's what I have found out and learned from this whole experience. They put all the blame on autism,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's not.
No.
And so what happened is Michael started to get worse and worse, and she said it was a severe case of senioritis. And then we saw a neurologist who had said that we would have to wait a year, because my husband and I questioned, is it Tourette syndrome?
Yeah.
Because the tic was getting worse and increasing more and more.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, Michael was saying the F word in the beginning maybe 3 to 4 times a day, and it went up to over 100 times a day.
Yeah, that does sound like Michael. You know, he's
No.
such a sweet. I can't, if you could be
And-
here with us right now. Michael is such a first of all, a very handsome son, let me tell you.
Oh,
Thank
You
you.
know,
Appreciate that.
and he's very respectful, and you do speak well, you know, when you share. He's amazing.
Very articulate
Yeah.
and very verbal.
Smart.
Very bright.
So when did the real crisis, when it really,
So what happened is after the appointment with the neurologist, I had got so angry and so upset, and I thank her because she really empowered me.
Yeah.
That night I went on the computer and I searched
Yeah.
what causes tics, what causes OCD, what causes anxiety, and I came across these two magic words: PANDAS, PANS.
Pandas, pans, I got it.
Yes. In PANDAS, I'm going to tell you what it stands for. Pediatric Autoimmune Neuropsychiatric Disorder associated with a strep infection. So all along it was medical.
Yeah.
In PANS, and that's what Michael is diagnosed with now, that's pediatric acute onset a neuropsychic syndrome. What happened to Michael had mycoplasma pneumonia, showed no physical signs whatsoever.
How old was he at that point?
He was 17.
Oh. That's when it began getting worse too.
That's when it started to really get worse.
It was a virus, right? Or some sort of
No, it was just they say it was an infection, a
An
bacterial infection. And the antibodies
Yeah.
from the infection attacked Michael's brain.
And so had he been sick? He had a sore throat, nothing?
Nothing. He had a little cold
Yeah.
in October, but it went away. And Michael has always had a high tolerance
Well,
of
actually, in
pain.
November, around Thanksgiving time,
Yes, you're
he
right.
developed a sore throat,
Okay.
which we took him to the doctor, and he was diagnosed with strep.
Yeah.
And they put him on a Z-Pack.
No, he didn't have strep. He had an ear infection. And you had taken him on a Thanksgiving, and they put him on azithromycin for the ear infection.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then what
And
had
it
happened?
traveled to your brain, Michael. And all this time, you had no clue, none of you, what was going on.
What was very funny, though, it's funny that Stephen brings that up. Thank you, because I forgot about that. When Michael went on that antibiotic,
Yeah.
those F word that he was saying stopped.
He stopped.
Isn't that interesting?
So when
Temporarily.
around December, so when we went back to the neurologist and the psychologist and the psychiatrist, they said the reason that was happening because we were getting on Christmas break,
Yeah.
school was ending,
Yeah.
and the anxiety had released from Michael. So they still
Oh.
felt it was school related.
Oh, it had to be so
So
frustrating.
psychological, basically.
Yeah. And this happens with a lot of these kids that get PANS. They go the same route. They go to the medications, they go to psychiatrists, they
Yeah.
try the medicines, they don't work. A lot of these kids are hospitalized
Yes.
in psychiatric wards.
Yeah.
And with Michael, God willing, I would not let that happen. I put him in the outpatient
Sure.
clinic at UMass
Yeah.
at the MCPAC program.
Aren't they great? Oh, where is that McPat program?
It's in UMass.
Right in the
It's
main
in the
building?
campus.
It's
Yeah,
in the
medical
campus, yes.
So you go in the Benedict building right there.
Yeah.
Like you go to the, okay, you go in the main entrance.
Yeah.
Which floor is it? I know that place. I used to
I think it's
volunteer
the second floor.
there. Okay.
When you go in the Benedict
You
building.
go down the B elevator and go up
Yes.
two floors. I know it well.
That's right.
They couldn't give me the help though that I needed.
Yeah, they felt that, they didn't think it was pansis. They thought Michael had an acute case of senioritis. But I have to tell you, when I went back to the nurse practitioner there that I saw, one of the things she said to me, because I was determined, I knew this was
I can tell.
not my kid.
She's very
Well, the
bold.
thing that was astounding is medical community didn't know of PANDAS.
Who was the one who finally picked this up besides you?
Well,
After I found out, it was like a nightmare trying to find a doctor.
How did you find, where did you find the doctor finally?
we searched and we found a doctor in New Jersey.
Okay, yeah, I remember, okay.
Yes, it was Dr. Trivoletti.
So you had to travel to New
We
Jersey?
traveled to New Jersey
Michael, how'd you like that trip? That's a long one.
and we took all the
We didn't get to have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a terrible trip. Oh, I hate long trips. So you went down there and you met this doctor.
Yes.
Dr. Trivoletti,
Yeah.
we really, I wanted to get into Dr. Geller, who is from Mass General.
Yeah.
But he is so difficult to get an appointment
I'll
with.
bet.
Yeah,
They have a Pansis clinic in Mass General Hospital, but there's a year waiting list.
Oh, my God.
So what I did the day we left to go to New Jersey, my wonderful brother and his wife, Arnold and Gina, brought us to New Jersey because at that time I was in no condition to drive
No.
out to New Jersey. This had really traumatized me as his mom.
Did you stay a night in a motel?
Nope, they drove us and drove us
We did a
back.
one-day trip.
How many hours trip was this?
It was like a 3.5 hour drive.
Each way?
Each
Did
way.
you stop at all for something to eat?
Oh, yes.
Oh, good.
We did. We got there early and we did stop to have lunch and then we stopped at night to have supper.
And what did you think of the doctor?
Dr. Trivoletti
He's
is
brilliant.
Yeah,
You
he is
loved him.
brilliant.
What'd you think, Mike? You liked him?
He was nice and he was funny.
He's very funny.
That's all. That's so
And he was a pediatric neurologist
Right.
who specialized in autism, and he also is brilliant, like my husband says.
And he
Yeah.
specialized in pandas pins.
And so what did he say from there? How was the treatment going to go?
Well, he did what he recommended. What I was saying is,
Lots of
before
tests.
we got in to Trivoletti that day,
Mhm.
we got a call from Dr. Geller
Up in Boston.
from Boston saying that he could take Michael the following Friday. So I called his pediatrician, who I want to say was our angel.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for that pediatrician who I went to and said, look, I went the neuropsych route, I went the psychology
So she
route.
referred,
She referred and took all the blood tests. I went right to her and told her what to take, and then
Sure.
she added some on her own. She knew of pansis, but it was very controversial.
Mm-hmm.
But where I had rheumatic fever as a child, pansis is the cousin of rheumatic fever.
okay.
So it can be autoimmune, it can be genetic
I
related.
think my mother had rheumatic fever. She didn't do anything to her as an adult, thank God, but I know she told me about that. Something.
And I was on penicillin from the age of 5 to 21
Every day?
every day.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah. So now Michael is on antibiotics that they rotate, and we don't know how long he'll be on it. He's been on antibiotics for over a year.
Do they ever take MRIs or CAT scans to see how Mike's brain's doing? How's
We're
that
gonna
going?
take-
We have an appointment. I went to the Lurie Center, which is part of Mass General, and they specialize in autism.
Yeah.
And what I did is I saw a neurologist there, and we put in a recommendation for an MRI and an EKG.
Now, have you ever had an MRI?
Maybe a little, no.
Never.
I never
I'll
did.
tell you what, it's kind of fun because it's not this big scary thing. I've been in them so many times, Michael. You can ask for a special like little thing on the headset where it makes it look like you're looking out directly at the staff. So it's not like you're looking right at the roof at all. You can bring a CD or whatever that you want to play on headset, or they'll play something for you. You get a little squish ball that if you want to come out at any time, you just squish that ball. Oh yeah, they'll talk to you through it. They'll tell you how long it's going to be, how you doing. If I could get through it, anybody could get through it.
Yeah, Michael wants to try to do it without anesthesia.
Oh yeah, I've never had anesthesia. Nah, no big deal. No, it's okay. No, but if you got it, you got it, right? But actually, I was kind of like, oh no, what's it going to be like? But it's really nothing. It's nothing. But remember those things. The special attachment, so that it won't be that you're just looking up. You're looking right out at the staff, and you can listen to anything you want. They'll give you the little squish ball. If you just want to get out for a minute, take a break. At least they do that over at the UMass recorder, see? I mean, I've never had a problem. Yeah. And then, so you're going to have the MRI and what else now?
And we're going to have an EKG.
Oh, those are really easy.
Yeah.
They just put the thing on and they just...
No, then it's an EEG where they study the brain waves and his...
They put all those on? My
Yes.
son had that done.
Yeah.
He laughed. They just kind of like glued these little, like a Frankenstein. They kind of like put these little gadgets on, doesn't hurt. You just lay there and they see what's going on.
So do you have to shave the head or no?
I don't remember them shaving his head very much. I don't know. They just have like this little glue, and they just kind of stick the little pods on him. He just lay there and say, "Yeah, go ahead." He didn't care. He
No.
honestly didn't care. He just went and said, "I'll just get this over with." It's not painful.
So we're going to do that this summer just to
Yeah.
see, you get a picture of his brain. So when we went to get back to what we were saying, when we went to Dr. Trivoletti, he ran tons of blood tests. And then we went to see Dr. Geller, who is now Michael's physician that sees Michael.
At Children's or at the regular?
No, at Mass General.
Mass
We
General.
see Dr. Geller privately right now,
Yep.
because it's so hard, as I said, to get into
Sure.
the clinic for Pandas Pans. And Michael sees him every 3 months. And he's been able to keep Michael stable
Gosh, that's
till just recently.
So we've had another episode?
Yes, we
What
had a little relapse, they call them flares. We were on vacation. We left on June 24th. We went to Virginia. And we came back on June 2nd, and halfway during our trip, Michael started to display some of the symptoms that he displayed.
Were you
Not as
driving?
bad.
Not as
Were you on a
bad.
plane or were you into driving down?
No, but we were in his brother's house. We had arrived to Virginia.
No, did you drive down there?
No, we went on a plane.
Oh, wow, you're brave. Get on a plane.
Yeah, we went on a plane, and we did contact. What was so good this time is it took us 7 months to have Michael diagnosed
Yeah.
with pandas, not knowing what it was,
Yeah.
and Mom being able to research and find it. And now it took us 5 days to get Michael back on track.
Beautiful. That's not long.
And what doctors think, because they say when you go on planes, there's lots of germs. They think Michael was exposed to something.
Yeah.
And Michael, you can say some of the symptoms came back. You can describe some of the symptoms that you did have that came back.
I had nightmares. I had
Sweats.
Nightmares and sweats.
Yep, and I also had a
Increase
like a
in
migraine. They
migraine.
thought it was a migraine.
Yeah.
And he had backaches, and he was starting to.
Yeah, I woke up in puddles in
Of
my
sweat.
aunt's house
Of
when I
sweat.
was away, and I didn't know what was. And I could kind of tell it was coming back. And my mom said it's probably just because right away I wanted to message Geller because I was a.
Sure.
And Geller just said, "Don't worry, we'll see what happens. Sometimes these happen when people go away." He was like, "I'm not sure exactly what it is, so."
So at first he just thought it was from traveling, the change of environment.
Sure.
And then it started to get worse and worse as the days went on. And then Geller had gone on vacation, and Michael sees an infectious disease doctor
Oh, that's great.
at Mass General that we contact, and they doubled Michael's antibiotic.
And that helped?
Within 5 days, Michael
That's
was.
the one that helped.
Yeah, Michael was back to himself.
They changed it.
They changed the antibiotic?
They
Yeah,
kept
he went
him.
from azithromycin to Augmentin.
Yeah,
Augmentin,
he's
okay.
still doing his azithromycin though. He's on 2.
Well, yes.
Yeah,
We
so
are
they-
talking with Judy Antonucci, her husband Stephen, and their son Michael. And Michael was diagnosed with autism, but he has pandas. Right? How do you
Pandas pans.
Pandas pans. And again, that is from an infection. Right?
Yes. He had a mycoplasma infection and he had mononucleosis that went undiagnosed.
And nobody knew. Nobody knew.
No.
Wow. How do parents, gosh, how does a parents even know? You don't. You got to know the symptoms of the PANS right when it comes.
Pans.
Yeah,
Pans,
you got
yeah.
PANS when it comes. So
And you
that,
got to go by your gut, your mother instinct. I think that's so important when
Yeah.
you're a mother. You know you're a mother.
Well, you've been right. Both of your parents, you're so lucky. Right on top of this thing. Right on top.
You've
of
never
it.
heard of this before, right?
No, never. I've heard of course, autism and Asperger's, but
And
never.
rheumatic fever, right?
Yeah, I've heard of rheumatic fever. Definitely.
Yeah, but when Judy did the research on the internet, that was so helpful because
Yeah.
all those symptoms, right, that were on the internet, right,
Yeah.
he was displaying. So we put the 2 and 2 together.
Did she
Yeah.
run down and say, "Hey, guess what?"
I did.
She said to me, Steve, I want to look at, here's all the symptoms. This is Michael. He has all these. I say, you're right. He does have all those.
Yeah.
She
And then
said,
I went to
This
family
is what he
members.
has. This
And
is
that's
what it
it.
is. So
What
the
did you think?
search started for a doctor specializing in Pandas pants.
You must have felt like going from here to here.
Well, there was some hope, right? Because we
Yeah.
were feeling totally hopeless for 6 months.
yeah.
We were house stricken. We couldn't go out. We weren't going anywhere.
Mhm.
We couldn't take him out in the public the way.
And now it's job hunting.
Yes.
The dollars, I
Big
love the dollar
turnaround.
store. I love
Yeah.
it there. It is a good store. A lot of fun. And they really mean it, a dollar store.
Yeah, he had an interview in it at the dollar store, but he also does a wonderful job, according to his job coaches, with the elderly. So they are trying to pursue something with elderly too.
You know, when my son was 10, I wanted him, I was always afraid he wouldn't have compassion. I don't know where this came from, but I wanted to show him the other side. So I had him volunteer, he didn't want to go, but a volunteer at a senior, an elderly facility where they lived there. And they used to love to play cards with him. He was 10 years old.
That's what I like to do.
You do too? Yeah, he enjoyed that. He did for about a year. They featured him in the newspaper. I think they got more of a kick out of it than he did. That's just him. Wally wanted to do other things too, but I wanted to show him, look, this is what, this is part of life, and I want you to get used to this and be able to have some empathy for people. I hope it worked. I'll never know. But that would be, what would you like to do with them? Be in activities with them to see?
Tell him some of the things. He had internships this year.
Oh.
Tell him some of the things you did with the elderly, Michael.
I played bingo. Well, not really bingo. Well, one of my internships I did, and I played some games, but I also helped set tables, and I worked at a rest home in Worcester. I worked at a few in Worcester, and I just cleaned tables. I did activities, and so on and so forth.
What do you like best? What's your best thing? What do you love to do?
Work with help out elderly,
You do.
and I like movies too for a hobby. I love movies.
Wow. We've got about 3 minutes left. How do people get a hold of you?
Yes, through that article that Jan's been talking about, we have been able to help 3 families so far and 3 children who have had pandas pans. So that was our goal of sharing the story, so we can help other families and not have another child suffer in the way Michael did. So you could reach me on my Facebook page. You can friend me, Jody Antonucci, and I would be able to help you and offer any support. And what I do want to say, if you feel that your child is displaying any symptoms that are unusual, that come on all of a sudden, to please bring your child to the pediatrician. That's where we were wrong.
Mm-hmm.
We thought psychological, and with the psychiatric route, please go to your pediatrician and have a strep test done, and then if it's not strep, they can take a blood test for strep to test the titers, and they also can test for all the infections like they did for Michael.
Don't be afraid to reach this lady. It's Antonucci. And you'd be glad to talk with somebody, both of you, if they were really tearing their hair out, not knowing what to do. I think this is wonderful. Your parents, I'm telling you, and you are a power of example. You're carrying the flag for other kids who probably their parents don't know yet what happened, and now you can just say, well, I'm okay, I'm here, and my parents stuck by me, and I'm doing much better. Thank you for bringing them, Michael. Did you drive?
No.
No, I didn't think so. But you take good care of them, okay?
I did have my permit for a bit, though.
Oh,
He did.
Before all this happened.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, that's all right. You got a long life ahead of you. Just
And
take
he
it
can go back again and
one
get it.
step at a time. Take care of them for me, okay?
But for the
Yes,
next
sir.
few years, I think I just want to relax.
Just play, right?
Well,
Yeah.
just not in the driving way.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. You know, it'd be nice to have you all back again sometime, too. Maybe before the holidays or whatever.
Oh.
You could talk about your progress, if you got the job.
Oh, I'm hoping
Okay.
by then.
Yeah, we're hoping.
All right, we'll see you next time and be my guest.